Hello and welcome to episode 114 of the She Must Knit podcast. My name is Erin and thank you so much for spending some of your time with me today. So how have you guys been? I hope you've had a good couple of weeks. First, let's just get the whole thing over with. You might notice that my background is a little bit different. I'm trying something out. We'll see how it goes. This shelf here is usually on, or was on, that wall over there, and it just started out where I was trying to rearrange the shelf because Kira is now, she's cruising along furniture, and she'll come into this room while I'm working sometimes, and I just wanted to make sure everything along this shelf here that she could reach that was either breakable or fragile in some way, I just had to get higher. So you'll notice that my little friend's scenery there used to be on this shelf down here, and I did not want her getting her hands on that. If that was pulled down to the ground and broken to a million pieces, I would not be happy. So it started off with just a shelf rearrange, and then I'm someone who just every once in a while just really wants to like move things around for like something new and fresh. And it ended up that I moved a whole bunch of stuff around this room. So the benefits is that I can now, I'm going to try doing this in front of the big window that we have in front of our house. In the other place that I would do my episodes, I felt like I was always fighting with the light coming from the window on my side, and I would always have to try and bring in other lights, and it was always kind of a battle, and I thought, it might be nice just to do it right in front of the window so I can take advantage of that daylight coming right, head on when I show you guys projects or yarn. The colors should be really nice and true. So we're just going to give this a try. You'll have to let me know what you think. But that's the whole, that on why everything is different. What do I have for you today? I have a finished object. I have some projects that I've been working on. 2 of them I think you haven't seen in a little while. I have the monthly winner for March, and I think that's it. I haven't cast on anything new because I do have that t-shirt that was a new cast on. I didn't get a chance to work on that in the last 2 weeks or so, but I really don't want to start anything new just yet. So let's start with the monthly winner for March, and then we'll get on to talking about my projects. So if you are a new viewer, every month I like to take all the entries. Oh, let's back up a little bit. Every comment that is made on my videos and every item that is purchased in on my website counts as an entry, and then every month I take those entries, I use a random number generator, I pull a winner, and that winner gets a $20 coupon to use on my site. So it's just my way of saying thank you for engaging with my channel and just going along this little journey with me. So the winner for March was Sylvia1002. Sylvia, I know you have been a long time viewer, so yes, you were pulled as the winner for March, so I know you know how to contact me, and then I will get that coupon set up for you. So let's start with my finished object, which as per usual is my monthly pair of socks for the Desert Vista Dye Works Challenge. It seems like that is the one project that I can consistently finish so far, and I did end up finishing my pair for March. So I do believe I finished these on the last day, but it was before the time that I would be going upstairs to put Kira down for bed. Usually once I'm upstairs and I'm putting her down to bed, I don't like coming back downstairs. That is kind of my me time. I just kind of hang out up there, watch shows that I like to watch, and just kind of zone out for a bit before Avery comes up to bed and we have to do the whole bedtime stories and all that kind of stuff. So I was really hoping to finish these before then so I didn't have to worry about working on my socks at that time. So I did. I finished these before Kira's bedtime, which is about 7:30. So a nice semi-early finish. This is in the colorway, what was this? Alaska Thunder Zombie, which is based on one of the drag queens from RuPaul's Drag Race. I looked up the name just to make sure I had that correct, and her full name is much different, but I can understand why Susan kind of shortened it somewhat to make it more appropriate for a yarn name. If you watch the show, then you'll know. I don't watch the show, so I did not know what her full name was. But yes, the colorway is Alaska Thunder Somebody. And I've made these for my friend who I make socks for every year around her birthday in June. So these are done. I can tuck these away, and I will mail those to her closer to her birthday. I just did my regular kind of vanilla sock, which is based on, I started off by using the Jangles sock pattern from Ravelry. That's where I kind of got the idea, or like the starting point for this heel, which is just, it's a top-down heel where you don't have to pick up stitches. It's just done with increases and then decreases. I really love the fit of this heel. I find it very forgiving. It's very easy to fit people, which is why I like doing it for if I'm knitting socks for other people. But I have since modified it to kind of work with the way that I like to knit and the way that my brain would remember how to do it. So if you're interested in this type of heel, check out that pattern, but just know that I have since changed it up a little bit. So my friend's feet are the exact same size as mine, so I made these as if I was making my own socks. So I started with 81 stitches, did a 2x1 rib, did about 10 stripes down the leg, did the heel. I like to do the heel, the increased portion using reverse stocking knits, so you get the little purl stitches, and then you do decreases to work down, back down to the circumference that you had up here, although I do like to decrease just a little bit more for a tighter foot. And then I just add just a regular toe. So yeah, these are done. I am still in the challenge. And then also, because this was my March pair, I'm finally able to cross off a box on my Crafty bingo card. One of my squares was month 1, 2, and 3 of the DVD challenge. I can finally cross that off. So that is my only square so far that I have filled up. I know every time I check into the group on Ravelry, people are just filling squares left, right, and center, but I've at least got one so far, and I am working on other ones with my other projects. So yeah, this is my March pair, and I will show you how my April pair is going now. So for my April pair, I decided to pull this colorway here. This is Knows Your Name. I've had this skein, it seems like forever. And yeah, I just thought this would be a good month to use it because I am making this pair for my mom. I will probably give them to her maybe for Mother's Day. But I remember when we were growing up, we watched the show Cheers quite often, and that is where this this name kind of comes from. It comes from the show Cheers because of the opening song and all that. So this is what I have so far. I've got the cuff done, and I'm just working down the leg. I think the pattern, like the striping pattern, is quite pretty. It was hard to say. I wasn't sure what it was going to do just based on what I saw here. I did pick out some new nail wraps to go with this skein, and just based on how it was when it wound up, I thought this would be a good one because there's kind of like, you know, some pinks, some yellows, there's some blues. It's just kind of like a marble design. I think this was called Watercolor Wish. I think it's still on the Lillian Fox website. That's where I get them. So that's the color I decided to go with to match my April socks. And I do think it kind of picks up the colors of this stripe here quite nicely, as well as the yellow kind of goes with this stripe here. So I think they match pretty well. But this is all I've got done of the first sock. I was able to cast it on, I think, April 2nd or 3rd, fairly early in the month. I'm hoping these will, I would love to finish these actually like before the last day of the month because they're for my mom. I don't have to do the leg quite as long, and she does have a smaller foot than I do, so I can do them a little bit shorter than I normally do them. So I'm hoping this will be a quick pair. If I can just, you know, consistently work on it a little bit every day, or at least, you know, maybe every other day, but like put a good chunk in, I might actually be able to finish these before the end of the month, which would be great because I would like to put some work into not only the other projects that I have on my needles, but some of the socks that I've kind of been put aside last year and the year before, I have some languishing pairs, and I don't usually have languishing socks. I usually am very good about finishing socks. Once I start a pair of socks, I'm usually very good about finishing them. So, but with my reduced amount of knitting time, I'm finding last year and then kind of rolling into this year that I really only have the time in the month to do one pair of socks, whereas before Kira was born, I could do 2 pairs of socks in a month. So I'd like to get back to where I can do other pairs of socks, because I have those ones that are kind of sitting there and it's just kind of eating away at me. I just want to get them done. But I'll talk about that in a moment, because you'll see that with another pair that I kind of brought out of hibernation. But this is my April pair. I think these are really cute so far. I think my mom will like these colors. Mom, I know you watch, so you'll have to let me know, what do you think of these colors? But that is all I have for my April pair so far. And like I said, I just have to kind of keep plugging away on them a little bit every day, and hopefully I can get those done before the end of the month so that they're done. I don't have to worry about them, and maybe I can work on something else. So I think next I'm going to share with you the other pair of socks that I pulled out, kind of going along with what I just said. But I have tried to do a little bit of work on my Advent socks. So if you'll remember back, if you watched Vlogmas, I cast on my Cozy Knitter Advent socks. And I think I was able to get the first sock done in December, but then the second one just kind of sat. And I have the first one here. So this is what I was able to finish in the month of December. And then the second sock just kind of sat. And like I said, I really don't like having a lot of unfinished socks. And I want to cast on a pair of socks for Dennis. So another square on my bingo card is to make at least 1 pair of socks for Dennis this year. I didn't make him any socks last year, and I think the year before I made him about 3 or 4 pairs. And he commented in the last little while that he needs socks. He hasn't been getting socks. I make socks for everybody else, but not him, blah, 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 right? So I put that on my bingo card that I really wanted to make him a pair of socks this year, and I would love to cast those on. But something in me just cannot cast those on knowing that I have these Advent socks started, as well as if you remember the second pair of micro stripe socks that I started. I don't even know if that was last year or if it was the year before, but I have those sitting too, and I am on the second sock of those. So I need to finish at least 1 pair of those before I can cast his socks on and be like okay with it. So I was like, you know what, let's get back to working on my Advent socks, because it is a slightly thicker fingering weight. It's a 80-20 blend, and that tends to be just a little bit thicker than the 75-25. So the rows go by just a little bit faster. So the last time I shared these with you, I think I might have picked them up right after December. Maybe in January I worked on them a little bit, but then I put them aside again. The last time I was right here, and I was able to put all this work in it over the last couple of days, and I'm not even sure you're going to be able to see it right there. I'm at the part where I have started increasing for the heels. So I'm hoping that I can just, again, kind of like my Desert Vista dye work socks, I'm hoping I can just kind of plug away, work on these a little bit when Kira is awake and kind of puttering around. If she doesn't notice me knitting, it's really hard to knit with her awake. If she doesn't notice that I'm knitting, I can kind of squeeze in a few rows. But she is just fascinated. She's fascinated with like the cords. So if she sees me knitting from across the room, she will just boogie her way over to me, and she will just start pulling on the cord. She wants to like eat the cords, and then she'll also start pulling at the working strand, and she'll want to eat that, and it just makes the whole process just kind of like not very enjoyable. So I can't do it as much when she's awake. Sometimes I can squeeze a little bit in, but really it's when she is either completely distracted by something or if she's asleep. So I'm actually quite pleased with the work that I was able to put into that sock. I think if I can just kind of keep plugging away at it, I might be able to finish that, or at least get close to finishing that. by the end of April, which would be really, really nice. Because yeah, like I said, I'd really like to cast on a pair of socks for Dennis. I have a whole bin. I don't think you can see it because I think it's behind the chair here. I have a whole little cubby full of kind of like workhorse yarn that I've picked up over the years for both Dennis and then my one brother who tends to wear, like I cannot make Dennis a pair of Desert Vista Dye Works socks. Otherwise, I could fit him into kind of my challenge rotation and he could probably get a pair or two a year too. But I cannot knit him socks with kind of like that nicer sock yarn because he just wears through them. He wears them in his boots, he wears them in his running shoes, he'll wear them in his soccer shoes. He wears through that type of yarn really, really quickly. So he needs the, the Regia and, that kind of yarn. And with the whole, me only being able to make Desert Vista Dye Works socks every month and not really be able to fit any other ones in, I haven't been able to really use that yarn. And I really want to use some of that yarn because I've had it for a while, and I picked it out for both him and my one brother, who tends to wear through his socks as well. So I'm really hoping over the next little while my knitting pace can pick up. I can gain a little bit of that time back, and I can start adding in some other socks other than the Desert Vista Dye Work Challenge. I briefly considered, next year, should I maybe not do the challenge so that I can work through some of my other sock yarn? But I just enjoy the challenge so much, so I'm not even going to think about that. We'll look at how things are going when next year comes, and we can reevaluate. But right now, I just enjoy doing the challenge so much that the sock yarn can wait. The other sock yarn can wait. So I've showed you all my socks, so I just have 2 other projects that I have been working on, and then I believe that will be it for this week. So the next project I'm going to share with you is my mitered square blanket, and this should be a quick one because I just added a few more squares. I was able to add, I had a little pile going of the yarn from my monthly socks that I needed to add in, and one day this week I just decided to sit down and get it added in. So here we have, this was my January pair, and then the contrast that I used with it, and then I was able to put in my February socks, and then here are my March socks. So I've got that row all caught up. I'm trying to remember what I had decided in terms of how many squares I was going to go across before working up. Kind of like last year, I know I would probably only be able to put about 12 squares in, maybe 15 if I do some other projects that use fingering weight yarn. So maybe I'll do 5 across and then start working up. I don't know, but at least I've caught up. And then I thought I would also add, because I don't think I've shared this in the last couple of times that I've shared this blanket, I don't think I've shared kind of like the details, but I use, I think, a 3mm, this is a 3mm needle that I use, and I just picked up some Haya double points, and then I put the little stopper on the end, and it just makes the perfect little straight needle for working on this small amount of stitches. And I do 54 stitches total, so 27 on each side of the marker, if you are familiar with doing mitered squares. So that's all for that, and then I just have one more project, and I can hear her crying. I'm hoping that she has not done her nap, so I'm hoping that she's just kind of fussing a little bit and she'll go back to sleep. But I just have one more project to share with you, and then that will be it for this episode. Okay, so I think she is settling back down. You might hear her protest a little bit, but she needs to keep sleeping. Yesterday she did the same thing where she woke up kind of mid-nap, just like really, really upset, and I eventually did go up and get her because she kind of stood up, and the rest of the night she was just absolutely miserable. So she needs to sleep. She's settling back down. Like I said, you might hear her protest, but I just have one more thing to talk about, and Avery's going to be home in about 20 minutes, so I just want to try and get this done. So the last project that I was able to work on over the last week or so was Avery's sweater. So this is what I had so far. The last time I showed it to you, I had gotten up to where this marker is. So I had knit everything that I needed to after the chevron. I think I had done the increases for the arms, and then I had told you that I was just putting it aside, waiting for a good time where I could figure out the next step. Well, the next step was knitting straight up for a certain amount of inches, and then putting the stitches on holders and separating for the front and back. So that is what I have done now. I knit past the marker for the amount of inches that I had to, and I have separated the stitches onto 3 holders for the next step. So now what I have to do is I have to go back to the other side on this needle here and do the same thing. I have to knit up, I think it's like 1 inch shorter than the other side, and then again divide them and then go on to the next thing. So this part here, knitting, I think it was 3.5 inches. This only took me about an afternoon, maybe 2 afternoons to do, so I feel like I should be able to do the other side pretty quickly once I'm able to sit down and concentrate on it. And then I feel like some exciting stuff is going to happen with, you know, the neckline and the sleeves, because the sleeves have some stripes on it as well. I don't think I mentioned, just in case, but this is the light box pattern that I am making for Avery, and then eventually I will be making a smaller one. Same pattern, but a different color to go along with the gray for Kira. So I feel like this pattern is just, this project is really moving along. This is another square on my Crafty Bingo card, as well as the one for Kira. That's another square. So I might even be able to knock this off by the midpoint of the year. Who knows? By the end of June, I might be able to finish this sweater too. So I'm really happy with how much I was able to work on that. And hopefully by the next time I share that project with you, I will have the other side done. Maybe I'll even be on to the next step. Who knows? That would be very exciting. But this is everything that I worked on over the last 2 weeks or so. So yeah, I hope you guys have been doing really well. Just a little life update, I guess. Like I said a minute ago, Avery's going to be home from school soon. She has been at school for the last 2 weeks or so after they were home for 2 weeks. However, our area just went back. I don't know if it's just our area. I think it might be the whole province. Just went back into lockdown, where you're only supposed to leave the house for essential reasons. Come Monday, so it is Friday today. Come Monday, she is on her spring break that got delayed from March because of the whole online learning thing. So I don't know how long. Like I said, today's Friday. I don't know when this episode is going to go up. If I'm lucky, it will go up on the weekend. It's probably more likely to go up on Monday or Tuesday, depending on how long it takes to edit, how long it takes to upload. You know the drill. But yeah, she'll be home next week for spring break. But then I would not be surprised if they end up having to stay home for virtual learning again for who knows how long, with everything going on. So that is where we are right now. I hope things are going better where you are. I know there's a lot of places where the vaccines are rolling out. They're kind of doing it by age group here, and I am not in the age group yet who that is eligible. But hopefully things will start getting better as time goes on. I'm really crossing my fingers for the summer. I would love the libraries to be open again this summer. I mean, if not, we will be able to go to the little park that we go to and the splash pad. We didn't do that last year just because Kira was an infant and was basically napping and eating like the whole day, throughout the whole day. But this year, I'm hoping we can at least do the park and splash pad. But it would be really nice if the libraries themselves were open. But we will see. You really can't plan anything at this point, can you? Because things are always changing. So I think that's everything I have to share with you for this episode. I'm going to try and have Avery and Kira pop on again with another little joke. They are really enjoying that. Well, Kira doesn't know what's going on. Avery's really enjoying that, and you guys have been leaving some really nice comments for her, so I think we're going to keep trying to do that. So yeah, I'm going to pop that on at the end, but Otherwise, I hope you have a wonderful weekend or rest of the week, whatever you are doing, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.
Hello everyone, today I have another joke for you. What wiggles in the sky? Can you guess? A jellycopter! See you later everyone in the next video. Bye!